Hello there. Um, Before I even go any further, I have to take a moment to mention that I've been having the worst freaking case of writer's block when it came to writing an outline for the ENFP video or any other upcoming video for that matter. And that ENFP video is going to be worked on after this video because at some point I have to look at myself and say, fuck it, just wing it. Why do I end up hesitating? What do I have to lose other than the hesitation? In fact, that's the very thing I wanted to lose before anything, so look forward to that. Anyways, I have another story. So the other day I was having a sort of philosophical, Socratic discussion with my ENFP friend that went in several hundred directions. And we were sitting around, we were eating Shake Shack, we're having a great time. We're enjoying the view of the mountains. And our conversation steered towards how different perceptions influence different conversation styles. And then somehow it metastasized into a conversation about the existence of principles and logic and objectivity. So at one point I brought up this train of thought that was, I guess, fermenting in my mind for a good minute. And it went along the lines of, hey, bruv, I'm beginning to understand less and less why people adhere so strongly to principle and objectivity because as far as I know, how the hell do I word this? It seems as if a chosen phenomena by nature is separate from the observation and subsequent construction of a framework based on said observation. It's as if natural phenomena moves on its own whim as its own entity. Does that make any sense? Because I'm really just pulling this out of my ass as we speak. I mean, I don't know if I've explained myself too well. And then I saw my friend, really wanting to add to the conversation, but I guess he didn't know where to start. So then I rephrased my stupid ass word salad and then I said, okay, so for example, like if water flows towards the ocean, right? It will flow toward the ocean, whether or not it should flow there. It will flow there regardless of our note-taking and our models of reasoning. And again, I was sort of trying to distill this thought into like some manageable, I guess, bite-sized module or whatever. And he understood it, but I imagined that the next thing that came to his mind was, well, that's cool, but logic and reason isn't always bad. Because then he told me something along the lines of, oh, I get it, but I think we do have to establish some sort of principle and reasoning because people need something more tangible, something to define, something to refer to, something to make sense of. I mean, yes, we don't know what that really is, but at the very least, we have to give it a name so that we can have a basic idea of what we're talking about. I mean, if everybody thought like you did, we would have a whole different problem, loser. But I think that a lot of times, like, words will have a bunch of definitions, and like a language like ours is really hard because those words will spell the same and sound different. Oh my god. So like, tell me why some of my friends get hella offended when I tell them such and such, and it's like, oh my god, like, usually I don't tune people out like that. I normally try to connect the dots of your ideas in my head, but something about the first part of what he said clicked with me, and I remember feeling pretty okay with that. I mean, we do have to have some, I guess, fundamental level of shared understanding so that we could function as a society and so that ultimately we don't end up killing each other in the process. And I was also okay with what he said because otherwise I know that if I had it my way, then I would have ruminated about that train of thought and just ran it to the ground. So for instance, yes, you could separate the essence and substance of water from the noun and definition and etymology and cultural significance of which it is assigned, but then you would be launched into another realm of confusion because the implication is that the object in question is not its associated nomenclature, nor does it have anything to do with any nomenclature, but then you're left with the fundamental issue of asking what that object actually is, as well as address some kind of framework to, solve that travesty. And then you risk infinitely regressing into more and more questions, and I know for me, this will give me no peace of mind Especially since being in my head the whole time I'm ruminating about this would make my ENFP friend sit there and laugh at me. Okay, I need to stop. I know I'm leaving way more nuances out of this story, and for the interest of saving your time, I think I'll leave the story as is. I do have to say, though, that I feel like FI saved my day because when it comes to the TI in my cognitive stack, if I read that section in psychological types correctly, TI has some elements of insatiability. And so to safeguard against that and, to keep myself from being buried in, I guess, organized humanitarian thought, I need to address the question of what works for me. So yeah, I'd like to thank my ENFP friend for constantly drilling that question into my own head. Okay, so let's talk about the Arctic monkeys for a second.